Yo! Storage is the primary requirement for any organization. In fact, right now you are watching YouTube and you are watching my content, which I have uploaded for you guys free of cost, correct? But during this free of cost thing, how does it come? Although I don't want to go into that, but just to share with you some information, because what YouTube is giving us, they're giving us a platform. They are giving us a free storage, because whatever the videos are I'm uploading for you guys is absolutely free for me and free for you as well. Although there are some options within YouTube that if I enable the membership option, you need to purchase a subscription, then you are able to watch some special content. Although I do not have that plan in my mind, but point out here to share is it's all about the storage. And currently in YouTube, we are talking about a cloud storage, which can be expandable up to X level, up to N level, whatever we can think of. But yeah, at the moment, you can imagine how many people are there in the world and how many videos they have uploaded. It's all about storage, because if the storage is gone, your content is gone. And that's how it is very important for any platform to take care of their data. Similarly, guys, if you are accessing any website, even though like when we talk about Azure platform, we created Azure VMs, correct? That Azure VMs also required Azure Storage to use, so that whenever we store any data as a part of our operating system, or in fact, if we store any kind of files on that operating system, it does require any kind of storage. So today in AZ-900, we are going to talk more about storage in Azure. Hello guys, my name is Harshangra, and today we are not just going to touch Azure Storage. We will also talk about a little bit more like structured data, unstructured data, how these things can be differ for you, like every day you are using Azure platform, how you can use and which storage you can use up to what level, and what all the options we have in Azure Storage altogether. So guys, the very first thing we are going to talk here is like get to know more about Azure Storage. So just to tell you in a very nutshell, in a very basic way, the storage in Azure is all about a cloud storage. This storage is maintained by Microsoft, and you even don't know how much storage Microsoft is actually having at the moment for you. You just come with your idea, you create your VMs, you create your applications, you create your SQL servers, whatever the platform you want to use in Azure, it all required a storage account, or we called it as a storage. Okay, now what is it? Obviously, it can help you to store your information, and whenever you want, it can also share that information or retrieve that information for you from the storage, and you can see that information whenever you like and whatever the way you like to see. Because as I said, we are going to talk about structured data, unstructured data, semi-structured data. We'll talk about all in this video. And obviously, why we use it? It's a good question. If you are using Microsoft Azure and you are creating your content, because I also heard even today that Microsoft Azure is going way too big for any countries, because they are giving lots of great offers and security and all sort of possibility that an organization can imagine. So they are also pushing not just the big players like Adobe, HP, Dell, or any other organizations, or even the government one. They're also pushing small medium level organization to move whatever the data they have into Microsoft Azure Storage, because they claim that your data is secure, and more than 3,500 people from security are dedicatedly working for you guys to make sure your data is absolutely secure, private, and Microsoft will not going to touch your data, whatever you have stored in Azure. So obviously there are many other reasons that you need to use Microsoft Azure Storage, but let's talk about one by one. So just to give you the brief idea, we have three kind of Azure storage structure. Number one is structured data, and the best example for that is Azure SQL database or Azure SQL Server. Because if you create a SQL server in Azure and we store all that information, you already know that in SQL, although I'm not an expert in SQL, but yes, don't worry, I know SQL administration, so I have spent quite some time. So don't think that I'm a layman here. I know something about it. So as an example, Azure SQL, you create some kind of database, and that database stored in a very mannered way. That's the word I always use about SQL Server. What is the meaning of mannered way? For example, here I write down a column called SQL number. Apology for my writing. Bear with me. So in a SQL Server, and yeah, product. As an example, what product you would like to store. So anytime if anyone goes to any website or they are using Azure SQL database in the backend, so every time if anyone wants to create a a kind of product, I want to purchase a product on a website. So what I do, I just go and to the product, I select add to cart, and automatically it has been added. So all those information, because product information is right there for you. So all those information that this is the product comes into kitchen, this product comes into the electronics. So these they have a proper kind of structured database behind the scene. So let's say I added one new product today. So serial number is 1 and product name is, let's say, Apple. I start with Apple, although I'm teaching Microsoft here. So Apple MacBook as an example, and the second product I have is Microsoft Surface as an example. So I have added 2 products into my database. So what happened whenever anyone wants to purchase this product, so they goes to that particular web page, and in the web page they can find out electronics, Apple product or Microsoft product. So as soon as they choose, they will get all sort of information from the SQL database, which is actually stored behind the scene in Azure here as an example. So what we are dealing with here is a structured database where you have proper serial number, product number, or even the product name, the content of the product, or so forth. I mean, you can keep adding your lines or the tables where all the information is going to store for you. So that's all about structured data, although we are going to talk a little bit more in our upcoming session. But right now, Azure SQL database in nutshell is for you. Now, the second thing is very interesting. I'm not sure whether you heard this or not, because in the Azure 900 or fundamental examination, I remember that I do receive approximate 4 or 5 questions from Cosmos database, and I was a little bit aware initially, but although I go through some documentation and I learned it and I found it, yeah, it is really helpful in terms of examination, in terms of when you are trying to crack any of the interviews, because people generally ask this question: what is the difference between Azure SQL database and Azure Cosmos database? Guys, Cosmos database is also similar like SQL, but it's NoSQL. I'm sure you heard about this word, NoSQL. Yeah, it looks like SQL. If you talk about, that's why we called it semi-structured database. Semi-structured means whatever the database you are going to use is not built on a SQL server, but it is a kind of SQL server which is completely serverless here. I'm talking about Cosmos, which means the added advantage for the Azure Cosmos is that you have that advantage. You can access your database from anywhere in the world. I give you one quick example and the difference between Azure SQL database and Azure Cosmos database. Azure SQL Server or Azure SQL database, if we create it, let's say we choose East US 2. All right, I created the database, I stored in that place. So basically storage is going to be consumed into that particular place. So what happened if a user sitting in Japan is sitting in Australia? It took a little bit time in terms of latency and took a little bit time to store that information and fetch that information. Why? Because it has to travel from Australia to US. If you do not understand much, just go to my previous videos about Azure regions, because that can help you more understanding about this concept. So who already followed these videos, you already know that to travel from Australia to US might take a little bit while, although it not having so much in delay, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, but fraction of second. Indeed, you can get such experiences. Now, if the people sitting in US obviously they will have a quick access of the database, and they can store information, they can fetch information in a quick time. That's why people are trying to use Azure SQL database into multiple locations in case if they are dealing with the websites. But if you talk about Azure Cosmos database, guys, Azure Cosmos database is a great way to deploy such kind of structure or infrastructure where you want to access your database from anywhere and you don't find any latency trouble at all. Because if you are accessing your Cosmos database, let's say from US, you can also access that same database from Stockholm, Australia, India, Japan, anywhere in the world, with no latency, no delay in latency, and you get extremely great speed overall accessing your database. But again, it's not at all based on SQL Server. It is NoSQL right here for you. But again, similar to SQL. But again, we will discuss about this in the next part. But this is what you need to understand. The structured data, whenever we talk about in Azure Storage, Azure SQL database is the best example for you. But when we talk about semi-structured database, it means we are talking here about Azure Cosmos database for you. All right, guys. So now after this structured, semi-structured, we also have unstructured. Now, what is unstructured for us? Unstructured means video files, music files, pictures, or files, or folders, or any kind of file types, PDF. You just name it. It's all about unstructured database for you or data for you. So Microsoft also offer, Microsoft Storage also offered unstructured data storage. And the best example we had already discussed about data disk storage, which means we are talking about the Azure VM disk storage, where we store operating system virtually, and also we are able to store any kind of data onto that specific storage. So that's how you can imagine about unstructured database, where there is no tables, there is no proper guidelines how to store data into the database. You just bring up with a video file or a music file, just keep that file and directly store it into the storage. That's all. That's called unstructured Azure Storage. And here I give some examples for you that definitely we will talk about this today. Azure Files, what that is, I will show you how it works for you. And Azure Blobs, that's a most common storage used by number of services in Azure, and obviously outside Microsoft Azure, if you have created any kind of services, for example like websites on a third-party platform, but still you can fetch your information from the Blob storage. We are going to discuss about it, and we are going to have a practical today. You will have a better understanding. But Blob storage can store any kind of data for you, similar to Azure Files. Already we discussed about the disk storage. So disk storage is really great for us because it has the best example for the Azure VM here for you, where we have created these Azure VMs and start storing our data. Now, the last thing is about unstructured data we want to discuss is a data lake generation 2. What is data lake for you? In a nutshell, in a one sentence, data lake is a new platform or new ways to store your files. Not files, sorry. We talk about how here is a big data. I'm sure you already heard about the big data, that you have lots of data and you want to analyze that data. So basically for that, you need to store that information into a place where data has to be processed, and based on that processed analysis, they can show you the interactive way to see, okay, that much product we have in our inventory as an example. Okay, that much product we need to approve to purchase from these vendors, or this much the consumers has bought. So all those of mixed data information you have, you can simply put in a data lake as an example, as a part of a big data analysis. Then automatically the data has been processed in the backend, in behind the scene, with the help of the Microsoft intense technology in the backend, and then you will have the interactive way to see those information. Although we are not going to complete today about the data lake, but you should know that it is a part of an unstructured data we talk about in Microsoft Azure Storage. All right, guys, the last thing, of course, it's an introduction. Then we will go one by one to these all topics. The last one we have is Azure Storage Encryption. That's what exactly I mentioned initially, that Encryption is a core part for Microsoft Storage or any of the services running in Microsoft Azure, because Microsoft is very much serious about securing their data, especially they are running on a Microsoft cloud, and they don't want that any leaks happen, anyone attack on the Microsoft maintained specifically storages or information. So that's how they actually apply double encryption. We will talk about that double encryption later on, but right now just imagine that Microsoft initially encrypt your data, then again apply encryption on the same data. So it's very much hard to crack that information, and that's how Microsoft is storing your data in your Microsoft Azure Storage. And along with this encryption, you also have tiers where it is up to you. How do you want to proceed with the option? Because Microsoft gives you 3 options: hot, cold, and archive. We will talk about this in detail, and also I will show you in a practical. But what does it mean? How it actually helps you? Let's have a discussion in details. But right now, Microsoft Azure Storage is one of the very important topic in terms of examination, in terms of knowledge. So guys, you should be very much aware and try to learn as much as you can about Azure Storage. And if you are unsure that what exactly it is and you want to learn very much in deep, I already started one of other training in the same channel, Azure Storage. I highly recommend you to go there and learn step by step, because few more videos are coming through in Azure Storage, but this is just in Azure 900 or Azure fundamental certification. We are going to cover these topics, and you should be aware about these old words for you. So guys, let's begin and let's move forward with the Azure SQL database and Azure Cosmos database as a part of structured data and semi-structured data, and learn more about it in a practical as well. Microsoft Azure Storage does not just allow you to save your data directly to Microsoft's secured storage platform. Along with that, they also give you lots of benefits and advantages. To make your difference and to understand that how much secure your data is right now in Microsoft Azure Storage, let's first talk about the on-premises or in-houses data centers where I actually worked in the past. So guys, my experience was every week whenever our SQL database people or other people who actually keep adding information into a particular storage space, or I can say the shared space, I have to take responsibility to copy or replicate my data from source data center to destination data center, which is definitely in other place. So what company has to do, they have to buy 2 different storages and make a ISP connection, which is a high-speed connection, so that data is going to be replicate quite in an efficient time frame. Along with that, we also need to purchase some sort of applications so that our data is going to be securely transferred from source location to destination. And during this time, we also had a conversation with ISPs that, hey, in case you find any intervention from any of the hackers or from internet, any person or who is trying to hijack our data, please do let us know so that we can stop replicating our data. And not exactly happened in my career, but I'm sure that if you talk with any of the expertise or people out there, someone definitely have similar experiences where they have to stop the replications. Again, you have to maintain your infrastructure. You have to take care of separately about this backing up things. And the third thing is you have to purchase applications for backups as well as, for securing your data who is actually replicating from source to destination location. So lots of hard work and lots of time you have to spend. But right now, to save your money, although I worked as a disaster recovery people, and I should understand that if disaster recovery people are not in the organization, how company is to deal with these kind of things. But anyway, what is my point here is to mention is Azure Storage is secure, and Microsoft gives you a better way, in-house application, which is directly built in Microsoft Azure. You just need to follow some simple steps and your backup is going to be stored into the relatively place where you want to store. So that is one of the example, and I just want to share the hassle in between on-premises and the advantages of Microsoft Azure Cloud. Although I'm not against on-premises because you have complete control whatsoever you are doing on the data, but still Microsoft giving you those privacy or trust that don't worry, we are not going to see your data. And of course, your data is absolutely secure with us. You don't need to worry. So when Microsoft is giving us these all SLAs or these kind of commitments, I think we should believe such big organization and some trustworthy organization in the world. However, before to move forward with the practical, I would like to discuss about some more advantages, where I would like to discuss very first one is replication. In case you are talking about SQL database, so SQL database has one option called geo-replication, which means that whatever the database you have actually stored into US as an example, sorry, it's not V, it's US. So it automatically store or replicate your data or sync your data to your paired location. So guys, once again, if you are unsure about paired location, I highly recommend you to go my previous video in AZ-900, which is AZ region, this one, and you can have more information right there. Yeah, it's a bit slow because I synchronized to Mac. Anyway, let's come back to our topic. So similarly, guys, your data is also going to be replicated to 3 different locations. So if anything goes wrong into one location, don't worry, your database and your data is still secure. You are able to access your database or data from another server or from another storage unit or from other region. I think you get my point, right? Your data is secure wherever you want to secure, whether it is in the same region or other region, because right now I am talking about geo replication, which is obviously into other regions instead of in the same region. But yeah, you get my point. If you have to enable it, basically, you don't think it is enabled by default. Now, second thing, Microsoft also offered backup and recovery, which is completely automated process. So guys, here's as an example that if we are running a storage account, which is a part of a database, storage, not a database. It's what is the time? 11:32. So similar time. I think you get my point. I'm feeling sleepy. So let's not go into that because it's important to finish our topics in a very proper way. And I'm sure you are learning with me day by day, because every week we are making progress, and I'm coming with much more videos and also planning to make more videos on security domain as well. So thank you so much for your feedback for this. Okay guys, so third point is Azure Files and Blob. So point is, any kind of storage you're using, like at least from them, so you can directly take a backup in the disaster recovery, which was my domain. So here is, we have option to directly store our data into Azure Recovery Services Vault. And just to let you know, behind the scene, Azure Recovery Services Vaults also use storage accounts. So in a nutshell, as I told you, every single service is using some kind of storage behind the scene. Anyway, so what is the advantage here? You can set the time that during this time your backup is going to run, because you don't want to run when your database is using the high incoming requests from your users, your customers, and you want to use it, let's say, in the night time. So here's just an example for you that if you don't want to take backup during the daytime, you can enable it for the night time or a specific time you want, so that your data is going to be automatically backed up. If any case your data is going to be deleted or you find any trouble to access your data, you can simply retrieve your data straight from Recovery Services Vault. So that's another advantage of using Azure Storage. The third thing, I already told you that Microsoft actually enabled double encryption, one on a service level and second on the infrastructure level. We will talk a little bit more on the encryption, then I will explain about encryption there in the same video, but in the other section. But I think you get my point, right? The third thing is support data types. We already discussed. Structured and unstructured data, we are currently supported. So it doesn't matter what kind of data you have, Microsoft Azure Storage supports all kind of data types. Data analytics, I told you about the big data where the data lakes comes into the picture, and data lakes is very much helpful for the big organization where they have to review lots of data and they want to analyze what exactly going on with their data. So data lake we have in the storage, and it can really help us to build a great way to understand our data. The third thing is, the fifth point is, guys, choose tiers. Choose tiers is all about HOT, which is always in use and you consider that your data your storage is going to be used all the time 24/7, then please choose hot. But if you consider once or twice in a week or 2 weeks your storage is going to use, then choose cool. And archive, if you think within 30 days your data is going to be accessed, or let's say within 90 days someone maybe wants to access your data, then choose archive storage type, because if you choose archive it costs you much more lesser than hot and cool. So these are the advantages, guys, to move forward with the Azure storage. And I think you have now clear, because whoever and in which document you go into deep down, you will have all these 5 or 6 points for you. Wherever you go, they only talk about this. So if you understand these all topics in a nutshell, in a nutshell means in a very basic way, that means your concept is clear about Azure storage. Now we are ready to move forward with the next step. And let's go to the next step, that is Azure SQL database and what is Azure Cosmos database for us, including practical, guys. All right, so let's talk more about Azure SQL database and Azure Cosmos database. Although this video is not about to understand much more in deeper about these two different kind of databases, because we are actually covering here is Azure Storage. So in terms of structured and semi-structured database, I would like to tell you the difference in between these two kind of databases and how actually they are working in Microsoft Azure. So in terms of the very first thing, Azure SQL database and Azure Cosmos database, both are considered as a part of platform as a service, which we called PaaS. Also, some of the people or the engineers call it database as a service, or we call DaaS. So don't be confused, because platform as a service is all about Microsoft SQL database and Cosmos database. Second thing, you already know, and I think I don't need to tell you what is the purpose of SQL, but just to give you the brief idea one more time, that Azure SQL database is actually allowed to handle most of the database management functions, which means it receives lots of requests and help to store that old data in a structured format, so that whenever we want to retrieve that information, we can do that. And obviously it also provide high availability, higher performance, because it is stored in stored in Microsoft Cloud. So obviously you can have a best experience of using SQL database. It doesn't matter where it is stored. So that is another thing, but it actually uses the Microsoft SQL Server stable version. This is what you have to keep in your mind, that Microsoft SQL stable version, it always use, and it is keep changing based on Microsoft development whenever Microsoft launches a new product. So I am 100% sure in the back end, behind the scene, Microsoft is going to upload to the most recent stable version, so that you all guys can get much more advantages of the power of SQL Server, just like you build it in your own on-premises network. I already told you high availability, scalability, obviously, because we also call elasticity. This is the word you heard whenever you get a questions on Azure SQL or Cosmos database. Guys, elasticity is all about increasing or expanding that storage or that specific database storage whenever it is required. So many storage are currently dedicated to SQL databases or Cosmos databases, and when it is required, it grows to a very high amount. I'm talking about the storage here behind the scene. If your application grows really very big, or your database or your organization have some sort of database, and you are using SQL Server in Azure platform, so due to elasticity concept, it actually increase lots of we call it DTUs, database terminal units. I will show you. How about this? Let me show you in a website, because it can help you even better understanding about scalability or elasticity. But apart from that, there's the last thing, that Microsoft also gives you option to migrate your SQL on-premises server directly to the Microsoft Azure SQL Server without losing your data. There are lots of migration options available, although this session is not gonna cover those part, but yeah, just to give you that information. But guys, if in a nutshell, I want to share with you that what actually advantages you can get, and you want to learn something more about Azure SQL database, I think we have to go to the the link, official link. So instead of going to the portal, let me go to the Microsoft link, and you should go to this website, and here you can find out what is Azure SQL database and how they can allow you to do more with the Azure SQL database. Obviously, as I mentioned, it's a part of a platform as a service. We also called DAAS as well, database as a service, and obviously with a 99.9% availability. That's what I called high availability of using Azure SQL database. So you don't need to worry your SQL server has been rebooted, you have to wait, and lots of advantages are there. So sort of cores been assigned, deployment models are there, single database, elastic pool. I mean, many other advantages you can find. I'm not going to discuss with you about these, but I highly recommend, if you want to learn more about it, I think this link would be the right one for you, because it has covered all the steps, purchasing models, tiers, how you can start building your database, single database, elastic database, what is elastic pools. As I mentioned, that if you choose a premium subscription, or you can say the license, so automatic you can get much more DTUs power or much more storage, or you can expand your database to the N level or X level. Microsoft pools are always available for you in terms of elasticity. So yeah, I mean, lots of advantages. I think I don't need to explain you this much, but again, as I said, please go through this document if you want to learn more about Azure SQL database. Now, let's go to our portal, because we already know what SQL Server is and what is Azure SQL database, but how to create that SQL database into Microsoft Azure, just to be a part of a practice. I want to show you how it actually works as well. So guys, let's go to Microsoft portal, and here what you can write down, you can simply write down Azure SQL. So obviously you have SQL databases, database for MySQL servers and all that. So let's start with Azure SQL, because here right now I do not have anything, right? So we would like to create a new SQL database. So just click add. So as soon as you click add, it will give you three options: SQL databases, SQL managed instances, and the third one is SQL virtual machine. That's exactly, I speak to you that if you talk about the managed instances, here we talk about the containers and all. So it is going to be really helpful for you, but yeah, we are not going to use this today. SQL virtual machine, it means Microsoft is going to create a new virtual machine for you. And as soon as the virtual machine is created, it automatically install and not configure, but initially configure SQL database for you. So as soon as you logged in into the Microsoft virtual machine, you are able to create and start managing your database straight away. But if you like to create pure SQL database in Azure, the first option is for you. Now here again, you have multiple options: single database, elastic pool, database server. Obviously, as a part of this practice, because it is all up to you how you like to move forward, but it's a part of a practice and to understand about database and how SQL servers are working. So single database is much more enough for us. So click create. As soon as you click create, obviously you have to choose the subscription, then choose the resource group. I have already created HVM. I'm going to choose the same. And here we have to give the database name. So I'm going to give Harsh Arena DB. You can give any name you like and select a server. So right now there is no server, so we have to create a new one. So here on the right hand side, you have to create a server name. So I'm going to give Harsh Arena. Just type this one. I think it should be good. Yeah, it is good. Admin login, enter the server admin login. Yeah, that's okay. So I'm going to give Harsh Arena and then admin. It would be good for us. And then the password, I give the password, then just match the same password right below. Hope I typed the password correctly. Yeah, looks good. Now, where you want to create this SQL database. So I'm going to choose East2S2 as an example. And once storage is available and all good here, just click OK, because it allows us to create that server right that place. So as soon as you create it, Harsh Arena is right here as a part of a server. Want to use SQL Elastic Pool, because I already explained Elastic Pool can increase and decrease based on available resources and available database, and also it can help you to increase and decrease your database storage basically. I almost forgot, because I want to share the money here as well, because cost also matters. If you choose no, it means it is gonna be give you the fixed amount of money, but if you choose yes, it can vary up and down. That's what I want to discuss. Okay, compute plus storage. So guys, here is an option. What do you want to suggest? So click configure database, and as soon as you configure, select, there are two options: provisioned, where we have a dedicated max size and all virtual CPUs and everything. But serverless, it means it can vary up and down. It depends on, again, many factors, how big your servers are growing. Based on that, your memory, your virtual CPUs are also grows accordingly. So if you choose provision as an example, you can check here, Gen 5, up to 80 cores we can select, and up to 408 GB memory we can select. But as a part of serverless, up to 40 cores we can go, and up to 120 GB memory is gonna available if you choose serverless. But again, it is auto scaled, and here we have to scale manually. All right. So anyway, let's choose provision as a part of this practice. So I do not choose change anything. Backup storage redundancy. That's what I want to share as well in this practical, because if you remember in the section, the slide, I share that there's a replication type, geo-redundant backup storage. So actually Microsoft is gonna select geo-redundant storage as a part of default storage, because Microsoft believes that if anything goes wrong into the primary location, you are certainly want to recover your data, whatever is running, because Azure SQL database is a highly highly motivated and highly protected servers in the world, in my experience, and everybody wants that it should be available at any cost. So in that case, guys, geo-redundant backup storage is good. Zone redundant storage is in the same zone, I mean in the region, but in the same zone. For example, I'm currently in Chandigarh, but one server is in Chandigarh, another is in Mohali, as an example. So Mohali is nearby, but it's a part of Chandigarh, right? I mean, you understand my point. So zone redundant storage is like that, but I still highly recommend to choose geo-redundant, because I don't want to lose any of my data. Locally redundant, obviously, it can allow you to cost you very less as compared to geo-redundant and zone redundant, but still geo-redundant are much more capable to recover and restore your data if anything goes wrong, because locally redundant means for any reason, if your region is down, that means you are not able to recover your SQL server at all. And if in any bad situation, your storage unit is gone, including all copied storage units as well in the same region, that means if in case you choose locally redundant backup storage, you are not able to recover your data. So geo-redundant storage, I think it's good for everyone. So let's go to networking. Yeah, I can choose public endpoint if you like, because I want to connect this database as well. Allow Azure services and resources to access the server. Yeah, that's okay. Add current client IP address. No, I do not require that, because I want to access my resources, my Azure services based on this SQL database. So it is absolutely fine for me. So click next for security. Yeah, I don't want to enable this because it cost me a little bit extra. So we are not required to do this at the moment. So yeah, as I said, we also have a backup option that if you choose use existing data. So that's one thing, data source. In case you have any backup of your database which is running on premises, you can select backup and select a backup and restore it, because this backup is coming from Azure. But if you don't have any backup or any of the data, you can start with fresh. Or we can do one thing, we can just, for our practice, we are going to select sample because we do not have any database created for our own. So I choose sample, and it is going to choose AdventureWorks LT as a part of sample, and we are going to choose this one for the practice. So just click next, and obviously I don't want to use tags at the moment. Review and create, and just click create. Now what it does, it will allow this SQL database to be created, and as soon as it is created, we will come back and then we will move forward that how Microsoft Azure database allows you to access your entries, your tables, and all the information, because that's what we talk about, structured database. Everything is pretty structured, managed in a SQL database, and that's exactly we are going to see right here. So let's wait for this deployment to complete. In my experience, it took 5 minutes in general maximum, but in some cases in my experience it took 8 minutes as well. So here I'm going to pause the session and come back again as soon as the deployment is completed. All right, so our deployment is completed right now, and again it took around 3 minutes, but that's fine. Let's go to resource, and this is my database which is running right. Obviously the status is online, running in East US 2. Other information, no elastic pool is configured. This is Gen 5 pricing tier, and right now you can see there's no compute utilization because we have not generate any information right here. But along with that, there are a couple of things I would like to share, at least just for your own knowledge. I don't want that you should do it right now, but if you are already expert on SQL Server, please go ahead and do it for your own practice. So one thing, I start with the data management. As you can see, the geo application is currently disabled, and obviously I have not enabled it. Where you want to configure target region, just select any one of region and it start replicating your data to that location automatically. And that's exactly, I mentioned that Microsoft Storage offered some additional feature. This is one of them, the part of them. Sync to other databases. If you are running a sync group or like sync agent, if you like to synchronize, because this sync agent, in my experience, as far as my knowledge concerned, that if you are running with the on-premises, you can sync your database with this database as well, if you are running on-premises as an example. So you can use it, and it's really good for that purpose too. Compute and storage, where you can select and choose that what sort of servers are running. As I mentioned, provision serverless, you can choose and change the information in between that. So it is another good practice if you like to try out, but obviously I don't want to discuss at the moment. And transfer, that's okay, I don't want to change anything. Let's go to data encryption, and you can see currently the data encryption is on, and this data encryption is all about your database, your backups, logs at rest. And that's exactly I want to mention, that Microsoft is actually taking responsibility to protect your data. And if you like to learn more, just click on this link and get more information. However, this is on the front end side, which I called a service level encryption. So which is right now on, and it called at a data at rest, right? So Microsoft, as soon as it goes to a storage, Microsoft also apply infrastructure level encryption as well to that data. So what does it mean? It's a double encryption, and your data is completely secured. So that's one thing. And now let's talk about another thing. It's a query editor, because I like to show you that how you can access your database in case you have created, and that's exactly the structured manner you can find out. So here's a username, and the password we have is this. So I'm going to log in with the password. As soon as it is correct, it is gonna logged in, and it can show you the preview window where you can try to see or access your database, because we have choose a sample database. Wow, Harsh Arena required by login. Client with the IP address is not allowed to access the server. Okay, so right now I need to make sure that allow this IP address to be from this access. So give me a moment, let me pause, let me fix it, and come back to you. All right, guys, I fixed that issue. Actually, it's a access issue. So what you have to do is whitelist that IP address, specific IP address, if it show you in an error message, into the firewall rules of this database, and it automatically updated. Or otherwise, what you can see in the notification or just on the same window, you can see a link that whitelist that IP address into the firewall. Just click on that and it automatically update that information into the firewall, because we are not dealing with the firewall at the moment, and I don't want you to be confused, right? Because we are not touching that firewall part. Although Azure networking is coming very soon, we are going to touch and talk about more on that. But right now, anyway, we are already here, and as you can see, we have tables where we have created, because we have a sample database. So these are the tables, these are the query screen. If you like to access any query, you can do that. You have view, store procedure, everything. So let's say if I run this query, so this query, I write down, select this query and run it. If everything is informed, or I mean managed into these database, it automatically shows some information. So that's right here, guys. So you can see the red frames are black 58. The name is product name is HL Road Frame. Or helmets is a sport helmet 100, helmet red color, socks, mountain bike socks, M, medium size, large size. So point here is this is all very structured database or structured data, and that's how Azure SQL is working in Azure, which is not a difficult thing. If you are running this Microsoft SQL Server on premises, you're pretty much easy for you to start working with that. I mean with the Azure SQL DB, because you will get exactly the same experience like on premises. However, this is just for the informative purpose. Let's go to Azure Cosmos database and try to learn more about it, that what it is and how you can configure Cosmos database in Microsoft Azure. To understand Azure Cosmos database, I have to give you one quick example here. Guys, let's say if you have a SQL server running and you are running that server in US, right? And your website is accessing globally. I mean, the people in Japan, in Sydney, Australia, they are also Africa, North America, South America, India, Europe, everywhere. Your website is accessing everywhere, and they need to access some sort of data which is currently on your website. So as I told you, I already explained you that it might take a little bit time to reach to that request to a US server and then get and fetch that information, because everybody nowadays is looking for answer in a millisecond form. I mean, just pretty much quick, as much as quick they can imagine. So if you are providing such experiences to the users, they believe, you are really a good organization because you take care of your users, your visitors who is trying to access your website. So the answer of those all questions, because everybody wants to be always online, they might running application 24/7. Maybe you are providing services to access their application, your own website. So obviously, if you are running a managed IT services, you don't want your services goes down, or if you are running any online portal where people can submit their request. So obviously you need, quick respond to your users. But if you have a server in US and people are trying to submit their request from Australia, in terms of a very generic way in using the SQL server, then yeah, you can expect a little bit delay to get those answers. But with guys Azure Cosmos database, if you need relatively much more quicker answers, I think Cosmos database is the right solution for you, because yeah, it is not based on SQL Server, but it actually works like a SQL Server. that's the thing I would like to mention here. And not only that thing, guys, it is highly available and people all over the world can access your database at the same time, and they all feel that this database they are accessing is not just based on US. They feel like it is right on my machine. It's just that much fast, that much quick, and the beauty of this whole database is there is no schema, there is no structure behind the scene. That's why we called NoSQL. So guys, that's the great way of understanding Azure Cosmos database. And now let's try to learn a little bit more about the wordings I mentioned in the section. Fully managed NoSQL database for modern app development. Obviously, because if you like to create any application, you need to make sure your app development data is available right in front of you. So if that is the case you need, Cosmos Data have the right answers for you. And also it's a mission critical ready, because if you really need a very much quicker answers from your databases, you just need to deploy Cosmos database and you will all run great. And also a good thing is Cosmos database not just supports SQL, it also supports another kind of database. Don't worry, I will show you in a practical in just minutes away. So the second thing is helps to manage DBs with low latency, high availability. That's exactly, I mentioned that it is highly available, low latency, which means you will get the answers pretty quickly. All right. The third thing is the globally distributed. That's exactly the best example right in the picture. The person is sitting in Stockholm, Tokyo, Sydney, Sao Paulo in Africa, North America somewhere, and Los Angeles, North America and South America in Sao Paulo. So basically everybody can access of this database, and they all feel that database is currently available their own local location because it is extremely fast and the response is mind-blowing. So yeah, it's a great way. The another thing is no schema. That's what I mentioned. It is not based on SQL Server. Then you can consider to be a part of no schema. And yeah, it is mission critical ready. I told you how much you are expecting from a database to respond and manage your everything, means you are making your applications. I think it has the right answers for you. Cost effective is also there because you are not using a dedicated service, you are just using a distributed service, but it is completely based on Cosmos database. So it is also cost effective. And to understand more on Azure Cosmos database, because as I said, you just need to know it is semi-structured database. In Azure, I mean Azure Fundamental or AZ-900 certification, you don't need to go much more deeper in Azure Cosmos. But still, if you like to go, here's a link for you guys. I think you want to learn something more about it if you are interested. So here's a link, and I think these 3 lines will give you all the answers. And what we have discussed, it's all right here. That the highly responsive, always online, low latency, highly available, and yeah, people feel that databases or data centers are close to their users. They feel that, and application need to respond in real time pretty fast. And one more thing I would like to mention that generally when the traffic is increased, automatically database also need to be increased because we are receiving lots of orders, lots of feedbacks from the user. Then Azure Cosmos database also relatively faster to increase in a part of elasticity, just like we discussed in SQL Server. It can increase your storage for for the information to store for your Cosmos database. So here you can see, guys, these are a database right here: SQL, Leaf, Gremlin, Cassandra, table. I mean, these all information you can store, and people anywhere in the world can feel that they are able to access that fast. But as I said, these are all information which I provide. It's go around this, nothing very special. But indeed, you should know how it works. And I think so, if you are a developer, you should go and learn from the documentation pretty well. For the people who is actually learning AZ-900 with me, so you should know how to create it and where to go and what options are there for you so that you can ensure that you are following the right path here. All right, so we are on the Azure portal, and what you have to do, you just need to go to, even you can type Microsoft Azure Cosmos DB or type just Cosmos. The very first one we have is Azure Cosmos DB. Just click on this. And obviously we do not have created any Cosmos DB at the moment. And just to follow the standard procedure, click add. As soon as you click add, it can show you these options. So what are the ways you can use your Cosmos DB? You can create Cosmos DB based on MongoDB, Cassandra, Azure Table, Gremlin, right? These are the options for us. So most of the people go for core SQL because it supports JavaScript, .NET, Python, all sort of mostly supported languages. So it is easy for us to move forward with this plan. So just click create, and here you need to choose the right subscription and obviously the right resource group. So I have already created. I choose HVM, and the account name. Account name is Harsh. Sorry, it's completely different. Harsh Arena. That's it. So if it is correct, it allows me to create. And where's the location? I'm going to choose East US2 as an example. So right now, obviously apply free tier discount. I don't want to. If you don't want to apply, just click on do not apply. But if you want to apply, just click apply. Capacity mode provisioned. I don't want to go serverless at the moment. Just click next. And obviously here, geo-redundant services. That's exactly I want to mention that you can find a similar experience of using this service as well, because if you choose and enable geo-redundancy, if anything goes wrong into location US2, East US2, we have actually chosen to create this Cosmos DB. You are able to recover your data from another pair region as well. So yeah, that's good. Multi-region writes, if you want, it can give you much more better experience of using your database and managing your database. Availability zone, again, it is up to you because if you want to enable this, it means you are concerned about your disaster recovery plans. However, I don't want to enable any one of them at the moment. Click next. And here, I would like to go to a networking. So yeah, I want to allow public endpoint or all networks, currently all networks for me. It's okay. Backup policy, yeah, that's fine. I don't want to enable the backup. Periodic is by default enabled. And how do you want to save? Geo-redundant, which means it's going to save into paired region, your database or your data. Zone redundant within the region, but in another data center. Locally in the same data center, but another service units. I mean, storage units, not service units. So this is the difference between these three. However, locally more cheaper, zone much more higher cost, and geo much more higher cost than zone redundant backup storage. Yeah, encryption. There are two kind of encryption is supported by Cosmos, whether it is fully managed by Microsoft, which is service managed key, or if customer are using their certificate servers, they can copy the certificate link, paste here, and they can use that certificate to manage their database. Because if they want anyone to allow, make sure that certificate has to install onto their machines or whatever the way they want to use it. Maybe they are creating some application, so they need that specific key to be embedded or add into the application. However, tags, obviously I don't care about the tags at the moment. Review and create, and just want to create here. So I click create, and we need to wait. All right, it's asking me again. So now I hit create, and we have to wait for some time. As soon as it is created, and I think it's pretty much faster than SQL Server, I will let you know as soon as it is created. Then we will move forward with the checking the options within the Cosmos DB and understanding more about it. So now our deployment is completed successfully. Now let's go to resource and see what kind of options we have in Cosmos DB. So guys, it is also the similar like SQL Server, like SQL database we just saw in our last session. So in that one, we also have the status is online, where is the read location, where is the write location, the URI, and all this information you can find right in one place. But there are couple of things I would like to share. The first thing first is backup and restore. You can take the backup, you can restore, you can take these backups and how the interval you want. So all sort of information you can change it here. The firewalls, obviously, if you are want to allow a selected networks, you can allow them, or all the networks. It's again up to you. Keys is another important thing, because right now these are the primary keys which is managed by Microsoft. So Microsoft arranges those keys, but if you are running with this, your own certificate server, you can use them. If you remember that Azure functions, we have, we have configured if the capability is there. So you can also configure your Azure functions right here as well. Apart from that, script explorer, query explorer, these all information is there. The important thing is, let's start with the data explorer. So as soon as I click data explorer, you can have these all information. All right, start with a sample, new container, new notebook. New container means it is going to be create a new container for storage and where all the information is going to store. Or we can start with a sample. So I think this would be the right or quick way for us to learn about Cosmos DB. I click on start with sample. So it's if you can see down below, it is creating a sample database for me. And as soon as it is created, we can find out under here. I mean, just wait for some time because it is created. Yeah, it is currently in progress. So we have to wait for some time, guys. If it is created, then you can find out create sample. Yeah. Okay, it's been created successfully. Great. So as soon as your Cosmos DB is created, I mean the database which we have created from sample. So what you have to do, what you can go to Data Explorer, which I already explained, and then select your data or sample DB and click on this one, New SQL Query. So as soon as you click, just select this and execute query. What it does, it gives you all the information that what sort of information it is currently available from the database, like John, Veronica, Eva, and in Chinese, or I mean in Korean or Japanese, whatever it is. So I think you're getting my point. This is similar to the SQL Server, but it is really helping everyone to maintain their database, and you can access this database from anywhere. So that's the beauty of Cosmos DB, and you only need to learn how to create it and what are the basic functions you need to understand. That's all. So guys, now let's move to the unstructured database and let's try to learn more about it. Let's jump on unstructured data in Microsoft Azure Storage. Guys, to understand this, I already give you the brief introduction about unstructured data, which means we talk about music, we talk about our pictures, our files, any kind of files in terms of data. So we can store those information to Microsoft Azure Storage. And to support these kind of storage options or data types, we have a couple of options. One, Azure Blobs. I already told you, it actually supports all kind of file type. It doesn't matter what kind of file type it is. And yeah, it does not understand that this is PDF, this is Word file, this is music file. The Blob just understand 0, 1, 0, 1. That's all about binary. That's it. Obviously, it's a scalable option because if you need more storage, I think Azure Blob is the right answer for you. Why? Because it supports up to 8 terabyte of storage size, which is huge. It's huge. Actually, it is huge. So you can choose Blob storage and it can help you to save your data. Another advantage of using Azure Blob is simultaneously you can upload your data, because how we can use Azure Blob is, for example, you are running an application and all these application, you have multiple different connection points. For example, you have gym, you have education, and you have sports, as an example. So all of these three options, you want to save some data to Azure Blob storage. So what you are giving is 3 different links to upload data to Azure Blob. So simultaneously, everybody, like millions of millions users, can directly upload data to Azure Blob. So that's the advantage of using Azure Blob. And I believe most of people who is actually using Microsoft Azure Storage, this is the favorite options for them, right? Especially for those who already aware about Azure Blob. Although I have explained about Azure Blob in my Azure Storage video, you can get more information there. But in AZ-900 certification, that will be all you need to understand. All right, guys. So next option we have is Azure Files. Now, what is Azure File? Azure File is nothing but the advanced version, I mean cloud version, not advanced version, the cloud version of distributed file system, DFS. If the people already had experiences on premises and they know that distributed file system used to create some file shares and share those links across everybody in the organization so that they can upload their data simultaneously, and you can enable the replication to the some other location if you want. So similarly, Azure Files give you much more control on your file, and you consider as a part of file shares or file server, where people can create a file share and they can connect that Azure file shares directly to their PC, and whenever they want to store data, just copy the data, paste there. That's it, job done. And automatically it is gonna store in Microsoft Azure Files or indirectly Azure Storage. So this is one thing. Second thing, yeah, already you got my point, because right now Azure Files is currently running in Azure, so you can access Microsoft Azure Files from anywhere. And obviously it does support, of course it does require SMB 3.0 minimum. Remember that. So it mostly work on the latest operating system. So if you can install SMB 3.0 protocol, server message block, so you can definitely work with Azure Files without any issue. So this is another thing which I'm going to show you the practical. The third thing, guys, we have is Azure Disk Storage. So disk storage is all about, we create an Azure VM, and then that Azure VM has a disk created. So it's all about that, because that disk is created based on our shared cloud block storage. So this is really important to know, because Microsoft has a big, huge amount of storage, and Microsoft just assign, let's say, 200 GB out of 10 terabyte or petabyte storage, only 200 GB to you. So it is shared with everyone. So the performance you can find out up and down, although Microsoft has option with SSD and simple HDD, which is a SATA drives. So you can choose any one of them, because that's the second point, that high performance storage is also available. That's exactly I'm talking about, SSD. All right. So this is what you need to know and understand. The next one is, guys, Azure Queue, which is a part of when we create a storage account. You can find Blob, you can find Azure Files, you can find Azure Queue under the same place, and I will show you in a minute. So Azure Queue is already I give you a brief idea. I think that it just take requests, multiple requests, and save into storage. It actually helps application to take load. For example, when we have Diwali, or in US we have Black Friday deals, lots of offers on certain time online, and when you're trying to book or order something, and it say, hey, you have to wait for some time because it's a queue quite longer at the moment. So we wait for 1 minute, 2 minutes, then we have 30 people, then 20, then 10, then 5, then 1, then it's our number. Right? So actually that request has been maintained by Azure Queue Storage for the application, just to make you understand. Again, when the people send these requests and application receive those requests, it actually redirect to Azure Queue database, and I will show you where it is. It is also a part of our storage account, and that's exactly mentioned the second point. It helps to create a backlog of messages while work in progress. Actually, you also feel that why I'm giving you this quick information, because guys, I think you don't need to learn so many things in these. It's just a basic idea. If you already know these things, like what is Azure Queue, or it just stores large numbers of messages, and when an application required, or when we have lots of requests from users, that's it. We understand the concept, and we should know where to go and how to do it. That's all we need. That's it. So yeah, only you should know this much. You don't need to go much more in deep all of this. But again, if you are interested, then yeah, I'm absolutely happy to tell you that. Please go ahead and try to learn more about this. All right, guys, next we have is Azure Data Lake Storage, which I already shared with you, that it is for the big data analytics when we have lots of huge amount of data and we even don't know how to use it and what exactly is the advantage of using that data. So what we just need to do, create an Azure Lake Storage, put that data into that storage, and it will automatically analyze and use for analytics. That's the advantage of Azure Data Lake Storage. And obviously it's a high performance storage, so you can consider it's a SSD based. So that's all you need to understand. And on the right hand side, I create this picture just to make you understand that what kind of data we are talking about in different all kind of unstructured data. In terms of here, this is unstructured data, right? And here we have storage, Azure Storage, which is gonna be could be Azure Blob, Azure Files, Azure Disk Storage, Azure Queue, or Data Lake possibly. So I think you understood, and we have last option, but we will discuss about that later. Let's go to Azure portal and learn more one by one how you can configure this, where are these information you can find, and what are the option for encryption and tiers available during configuring this Azure storage for us. Before to move forward with the unstructured data storage, I would like to just share with you one more thing before I move forward. Actually, I forgot to share that information in Cosmos DB. So in Cosmos DB, if I go, let's say I created Harsh Arena Cosmos DB. So guys, there's an option called replicate data globally. So this feature I forgot actually to mention because somehow my application was not working during that time. However, this is right here. If you go to the Azure Cosmos DB, and you can choose that I want to replicate my data to this place in South America, let's say in Africa, in Europe, in India, or in nearby Japan, in Australia. So what happened that you can see that it is actually goes to these all location, and it read and write information into these all areas. So point here is, as soon as the people logged in from these all different location, they will have experience. Oh, I'm able to access data so much fast. It's just like it is right here nearby in my data center, nearby my place. So that experience you won't get in Azure SQL database, but you can get in Cosmos DB. I think it is much more clear to you. All right, let's go back to unstructured data. And to understand about unstructured database, guys, for that we have to create a new storage account. So to understand this, we just need to find storage accounts. So there are two options, storage accounts and the classic. Classic is the old way because it does support a little bit older way to manage your storage accounts or storage, but we are going to choose the newest version, which is called just storage accounts. So as soon as you click, you can find there's one storage account is created for SQL, or I mean SQL database automatically. And another one is created for my Cloud Shell whenever we like to use this Cloud Shell, right? However, if we simply click add, we just want to create a new storage account, which is pretty simple and straightforward. So here, resource group, we need to first obviously choose the subscription. Then choose the resource group. I like to choose HVM, which I already have here. Storage account name, let's make it small, HA or storage. That's it, HA storage. So if it is recommended, oh, it's already been taken. HA storage 1 seems, oh, it's also been taken. 1986, how about this? Seems good? Looks to me. Okay, I'm going to create this region into US2. So let's find East US2, which is right here. Now, there are two kind of performance option you have. That's what we discussed. Whether you have standard, which has, quite HDD is there. Not very much high performance, but yeah, it's a good performance. But with this one, you can find some options like GRS, geo-redundant, zone-redundant, and GZRS. I mean, those information, I think it's better to discuss in Azure Storage, which I already had running and I already explained in those videos. Please go and watch out. If you choose premium, you can have some extra options like block blobs, file shares, page blobs. Which option do you like to prefer? However, at the moment, because I need to show you most of the options, I'm going to choose standard. And I think it's better to choose GRS always. Yeah, it does add more money or cost to you, but it's a good one. It's a good option. Let's click advanced. Just click advanced and enable secure transfer. Yeah, that's fine. Enable infrastructure encryption. That's what I was talking about, that Microsoft automatically actually allows you to enable infrastructure encryption. If you want to allow this, you need to select this, because you can see it's a data as rest encryption adds a second layer of encryption to your storage account data, which is, I think it's a good sign, right? So can we change after storage account created? Yeah. I don't want to change it anyway. So yeah, it's a good thing, because initially Microsoft is going to change or encrypt your data initially, for sure, that's fine. But to add a new layer or an extra layer on that data is always a good practice. And I highly recommend every one of you to follow this, from my side at least. Okay, minimum TLS version. So you can see Microsoft suggesting you to choose most recent one, which is a good sign. Enable Blob public access. Yeah, it is good, because maybe I have saved one picture and I want to use that from my Blob. I will show you in a minute what is my meaning here. And enable storage account key access. Yeah, I need to make sure that I should have this access here. Apologies for the sound, guys. It's something here anyway. Not ghost, so don't worry. Okay, so move forward with the after TLS, we have Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So if you want to enable it, you have to click hierarchy namespace here, and it will enable Data Lake Storage Gen 2 automatically for big data analytics. If you want to do it, you can do it. Otherwise, it's fine to leave this option. At the moment, it's okay for me, and it's fine. Now let's move forward with the Blob store, because if you remove this right now, so we do not have any extra options, because it's gonna charge you once you upload huge amount of data. However, access tier, so obviously we have generally three options: hot, cool, and archive. I will show you, but at the moment, hot means it's a frequently used or access your data, like day-to-day basis. Or cool, sometime people like to access your data, like 1 week, once in a week, twice in a week, thrice in a week. So yeah, it's all up to you. But right now I'm going to choose hot for me. And tables and queues, yeah, I want to support customer managed key. Yeah, I don't want to carry with this option at the moment, but it is a good thing. Customer managed keys means I'm talking about the security keys, which is currently managed by Microsoft by default. But if you like that, you want to enable this feature, so what it does, people can contact their certificate authority, certificate servers, bring those keys and embed those keys into these tables and queues, and then access their application or their storage. Let's go to networking. Yeah, networking is fine. Public endpoints, all network is okay. Microsoft networking routing is okay for me at the moment. Data protection. Do you want to enable the soft delete? Means if accidentally, because previously the option was not there, but now it is there. If we accidentally delete any of the data from the containers, we are able to recover that data from from 7 days intervals. So this is a good option, and I highly recommend all of you to enable it. Just go to tags. Obviously, I don't want to configure. Click next. So we are good to go. I think we have discussed all those options in enabling storage account. Just click create and wait for some time, because again, it will take another 1 minute and 1.5 maximum. And immediately, once it is created, we will come back. We are going to discuss step by step. First, we will discuss Azure Blob. Second, we discuss Azure Files. Third, we are going to discuss Queue. And Data Lake, I already show you, because you can upload your huge amount of data into Azure Blobs, and it can, start helping you in the big data analysis or analytics. That's the beauty of using Data Lake. I think it's not that difficult. And yeah, during this time, whether this deployment is going on, what I can do for you, let's go back to Azure Virtual Machine, right? In Azure Virtual Machine, if you go to HVM, this is the resource group we have created, because I want to discuss about disk storage while storage account is creating for me. So as you can see, there's a disk here, Harsh Arena VM OS disk. It is separately created and directly under resource group. It is not a part of storage account, correct? So just click on this disk, and what kind of information we can find? Disk state attached, location is fine. Now here's an important information: disk size 127 GB, standard SSD, and it is LRS. Yeah, that's important. What operating system we have installed? Windows. Apart from that, it can also help you with the size and performance. But remember guys, if you want to increase the size, then you have to stop your virtual machine. Only then you can do that, otherwise not. Okay. Encryption, whether the encryption is enabled or not. Disk encryption settings can be changed only when the disk is unattached. Remember that. Although encryption at rest with the platform managed key is enabled on this disk. That's what I want to show you, that by default it is secure and it is managed by Microsoft. So Microsoft is solely responsible for protecting your data, your disks at rest. All right, I think it's a good thing to know about this storage is typing. Let's go to storage account and see if our storage is ready or not. Okay. Okay, as storage, HA storage is ready, I think, and there you go. All right, so start with the containers. Now, what is container here? We are specifically talking about Azure Blob. Okay, so by default, we do not have any container, but if I click container, and on the right hand side, I give the name HA Blob. Just give the name HA Blob. So automatically it says, all right, that's fine. Now, how do you want to access your blob? Privately or anonymously? I mean, people can access. So it's up to you. Read access is fine. Blob, like I want to give this read access. However, there are a little bit more information about encryption. Select from existing account scopes. So guys, Microsoft also have key vaults. So if you are coming with your own keys, you can just first configure your keys with the key vault, and then you can use those keys with Azure Blobs and storage accounts. But this is just an extra information. However, it is currently not available, so I don't want to go it. That's okay. Click create. As soon as it is created, now what it does, it just give me the option called HA Blob. Now I click HA Blob. Now what options I do have is you can create a folder, or you can create or upload a file directly. I click here, upload a file. So my file is in iCloud. So here we have Harsha in a project. I have Harsha in a logo. I'm going to upload a logo and open. That's it. So you can choose any file on your desktop. And when I click advanced, so you can find more options. Now, blob type, yeah, block blob or append blob, it's up to you. Right now, don't go much more deeper because it is not required. Access tier is an important one. Hot, cool, or archive. So this particular data is going to be archive as a part of tier, cool or hot. So I already explained archive means very less, like in 60 days you want to use this data. So it is like this. However, I choose hot here. So just click upload and the file is going to be uploaded for me in a minute. Now, important thing. If I try to access, just click on this file. All right. You can change tiers if you like, because I don't want to change it. But right now it's okay for me. Click on the logo. And here there are a couple of more information for you. Number one, access tier is hot and server encrypted, means it is currently on storage tier. So whether it is encrypted or not, it is true. It is encrypted, right? If I go to versions, there are no version because I do not modify this file. So there are no versions involved. Edit, if you like to edit this file, if you want to. Generate SAS means it can generate a key to access this file. For example, I like to add a link for this picture into my application or my website. So how I'm going to do that? Signing key is key 1. Permissions is ready. Read, that's okay, because I don't want anyone to add, create, or do anything. And the time when you want this to be expire. Obviously, if you are dealing with your own, you can change the time frame. It's all up to you. But this is just to practice, just to tell you this is what we can do, right? Allow IP address. If you want to allow specific one, you can do that. Otherwise, just click on generate SAS token and URL. Just click on this. It will generate a blob SAS token and the URL, correct? So go to URL, copy that URL, and let me go to another browser. And in another browser, better be a private window because I don't want to use my ongoing window. So yeah, this is the link. I press enter. There you go, guys. So you can see this is the power of Azure Blob, because you can directly access your Blob data from anywhere. But for that you need to and it is absolutely secure, right? It is using HTTPS. It is a secure token. So nobody's is gonna hack or touch your files. So this is all about encryption and tiers and blob storage for you guys. Now let's go to Azure Storage 1986 again. Let's talk about file shares. So file shares, I told you it's a similar way to actually store your data into one place and people can access their data from their own machine. How? Let me create a file share first. So click on file share, give the name HA file share. You give any name you like. Quota, I like to give 1048. It means right now 1 GB or 1 terabyte I would like to give because it is in GB. That's fine. Now transaction optimized, or whether you want to hot. I want this frequently used by my users, my people. So select hot and click create. Now what it does is simply create a place which is shared location, and the shared location is HA file share. Now how you can share or access this folder in the machine. So one thing, you just click on this file share and click connect. When you click connect, on the right hand side you can see Windows, Linux and Mac OS, means what operating system you are using, and based on that it actually share with you a script. You just need to run that script on the machine. But remember one thing, guys, you need to make sure your port number 445 has to be open. If it is closed, then it won't allow you to run this command. Or sometime when it is not making a tunnel using 445 port number, it keep saying that it is failing to connect and all sort of that kind of information. However, let me show you in a practical way how you need to use this script on a Windows machine at the moment. So I just copy this machine, simple, and I go to my machine, which is I actually already created in Azure. This is a Azure VM. So I need to open Windows PowerShell for you. Yeah, there you go, Windows PowerShell. I just right click and open, run as administrator. Okay, it's open, Windows PowerShell. I just paste my script, that's it. So I am not sure whether it is copied or not. It should be copied from my experience. However, let me see if it is copied or not. Not. So I have to go back to my browser again. Yeah, also guys, one more thing. You can also change the drive letter if you want. I want to change it to S as an example, and then copy my script. Copy once again. Let me copy like this as well. Copy it. Yeah, I hope it finally copied for us. Okay, let's go to our machine, which is right here. I paste it. This time it is pasted. So it's trying to make a connection, and as I said, sometimes it shows this kind of error, right? So do one thing, keep trying, and you see credential added successfully, and my S drive is also added successfully as well. This is the location. So let me just go to my PC, because where you can see this option, this PC, and guys, there you go, HA file share, and it's 1 terabyte of storage space, right? So this is how you can see and connect your file shares to your local machine. If I like to create any file, people can directly create your files. Let's say if I create text file, test hi, That's it. I don't want to write anything. So I create it. So according to this, it should go directly to Azure Cloud. Let us go back and see if this has been synced or not. So let's go to Google Chrome, and right now, let me refresh if there's anything inside. Can you see that, guys? Test high. So it is fully Azure Cloud managed file share, and people can directly store information to the cloud. Obviously, you can take a backup, you can take a snapshot. These are extra options, and I don't want to talk at the moment, but I think you get my point that this is how your storage is working. Also, if you go to the same HA Storage 1986, you also have called Q Storage. But again, for this, you need to configure with an application. So yeah, this is the place you can configure and choose an option. But with this, I think you get the whole idea how we can configure the storage type for unstructured data, correct? So let's talk about final topic, encryption and tiers in a theoretical nutshell, and then we will end our session. Although we have completed understanding about Microsoft Azure Storage encryption and tiers, but just to give you a quick idea one more time before to end the session for the day, whenever we're trying to transfer our data, because you have seen in Azure file shares, so it is all encrypted and decrypted with the help of 256-bit AES encryption, which is the strongest till date. So you don't need to worry about your data, whether you are accessing, downloading, or retrieving or anything. I mean, in both operation, it is absolutely safe. And Microsoft Azure Storage is actually using storage service encryption, which I already show you that server encrypted or not, it shows true, right? That's exactly I was talking about. And Azure disk encryption, it has also been automatically updated whenever we create the disk storage with the help of Azure VMs as well. Yeah, what I want to share is the client-side encryption. Now, I'm not sure whether you are quite confused this or not, but there are two kinds of encryption. One is managed by Microsoft and another one is managed by client. I already explained in general, but let me explain with this picture. So with the Microsoft managed services, what happened that the user do not have any key. So he just upload the file. It goes to actually Azure Active Directory because that's how we logged in. And it goes to Key Vault in the backend and store the key of the data. That key is stored into the data. Then what we have done, we just upload the file into the storage account and don't care much. And it goes to the storage in the behind the scene, right? But when we want to retrieve this, and the whole process goes with the key, because it has a certain key. Now this user wants to access. So Azure AD has verified. It goes to Key Vault and said, hey, somebody wants to access a file which we just uploaded with the name of logo or Harsha in a file, whatever. Then it goes to the storage account and verify that key, and it actually take that data, decrypt that data, and securely transfer to you on the UI. So that's how it is managed by Microsoft. But in terms of user, what else is going to be added is another server, and it has to provide this key first with the document before upload, goes to AD. Then Azure Key Vault will verify this key, which is coming from this certificate server. I said, okay, I am aware about this key. Don't worry. Yeah, you can certainly go ahead and save your data. So it goes to storage account and your data has been saved. Now, when this user wants to access, so it must have a key, a private key. Then data comes from storage, which has been decrypted by Microsoft Azure automatically, goes to Key Vault. Hey, which key you want me to carry? Whether it's a client-side key or the Microsoft managed key. It said, no, you have to carry your client-side key, which is secure connection via AAD. Come back. Then when it before it reaches to user, it actually verify by the certificate key with a private key, obviously with the username and the password, and then how you are able to access your data or your file. That's how it goes with the client-side encryption, right? It's a simple thing because you are just adding additional layer of verifying your certificate authority or certificate server, which is going to be directly interact with the Azure Key Vault. That's it. That's how. One more thing, I already explained double encryption to protect your data, and the tiers also we have discussed, so I don't want to bore you again with this. Okay, so it's been a long video, guys, and I tried to make it into two, but I thought let's complete Azure Storage in one. That's the reason I make this into one. So thank you so much for watching this video, the huge video, and I hope and consider that you like this video and overall the content. Although I tried to cover up some things a little bit faster because it does not require you to learn every single thing, and I try to keep repeat to make sure that you remember this in your mind, right? So everything is good right now, and hopefully you learn. But I request you, please do the practice and then learn as much as you can. You can also connect with me over WhatsApp. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I'm more than happy to answer all of your questions. So, all right, excitement is right here. Let me check the time, guys. It's 3:22. So it's all good. So thank you so much for watching this video once again, guys. Please take care of your health. It's a corona thing. Yes, this cyclone things is also going on in India. I hope things is gonna be all right very soon. Please do take care of yourself, your family members. I really appreciate your time you're watching and learning with me. So anyway, thank you so much once again watching this video. Take care. Wish you have a good day. Peace. God bless you.